I've known Mikkel for almost 20 years. Coming up on 20 years. You were a regular on Call for Help. I remember we had great photo projects because you were one of the first digital photographer I ever met, I think.
You remember back then, we had some really good times.
It was fun.
Yeah, we introduced Photoshop Elements. That's
right.
That's, this show is where we brought it on.
First time.
And then my book that went with it.
Which was shooting. I have it right here.
Well, no, the Elements book was
oh, you had an
different.
Elements book.
Yeah.
I have that one, too.
I did 3 versions of that book. But then we also brought, remember the Nikon D100?
Yeah, the very first digital camera I ever saw.
And that was the camera that really said to professionals, we can do this in digital.
I think I bought a D70 right after that because I said, all right, I give up. Because I was fighting this.
And we brought in the dragon, the Chinese dragon from Chinatown. Yeah. And I photographed it.
Fun.
Those are fun days.
Really fun stuff. Well, we've come a long way. You're still shooting.
Sure.
Still a professional photographer living in San Francisco. Still an author. And I should mention, this is one of the books that apparently I wrote the foreword to and forgot. Shooting digital. Actually, this is a great book about shooting digital. And then a series of books about Lightroom. This is the one that you did in Iceland.
Right.
Lightroom Adventure. And then the new Lightroom Adventure, which came out a couple of years later. And this was a trip I went with you and a bunch of the best photographers in the world to Tasmania.
Yep.
In Australia, and that was amazing.
Yeah, that was a great trip.
That was life-changing for me. That's where I met Catherine Hall.
Yes.
Met Bruce Dale, the National Geographic photographer. So many great photographers. But Mikkel's also written memoirs. And in fact, you've written I almost want to say 3, because one of them is a book of pictures from county fairs.
Yeah.
That's in a way
kind of a memoir.
It's about you were an itinerant photographer.
Yeah.
I have one of those pictures from the book, which you very nicely gave me some time ago. So people would come to the county fair. They still do it in county fairs all over the country. Sure. And there's a photographer there.
Yeah.
And he'll take your picture, and then before you leave the fair, you come and you get it. And you were that guy. It's a little dusty. You were that guy who, you were working out of the back of a van or something.
Yeah,
right?
it was. We were on the road, and so we would live in a truck, and we'd pull the studio behind the truck. And the studio, this was the days when it was a chemical process.
It's
so
film.
You can imagine, it was a dark room.
Yeah.
Literally. And we had to have all the chemicals with us and the paper, and we'd make the photograph in the front part of the studio. And then in the back, I'd have all these crew members that were actually going through the traditional process.
Holy cow.
To get the print out in 10 minutes.
So they were fixing it and developing
the film, 4x5 film.
Oh, it was large format too.
4x5 Ilford FP4.
Wow.
And then throwing it wet into an Omega D2 and larger.
Wow.
Wet, the negative, and then printing it and going through the Dectol, the acid, and the fix, and then handing the picture out.
Still damp.
We handed it out wet. And you know what we had to tell the people?
What?
Take it home and put it in the bathtub because it needs to be washed.
You got to wash it.
And they did it.
But the images, and it's probably out of print. It's been a while, but that is such a great book. And these are people in their finery, right? And it's really fun to see. And this is one of my favorite pictures. I was so glad you gave me this one. They're
people that are having a good time.
Yeah.
That's what I liked about it. And they were being themselves.
Yeah, very natural. Yeah. So they're bikers, there's tattooed ladies, there's all kinds of people.
Yeah.
And it's just a wonderful book.